Welcome to my garage. It's going to be my workshop. My son Dominic's doing the filming, so if I'm talking to somebody, that's who I'm talking to, other than you. As you can see, it's crowded in here. I previously had my chop saw on one of those large folding stands, and we'll show that later on. But it was sitting here, and I had another shelving unit here, and it was just so crowded here, you couldn't even open the doors on this side of the garage. We're thinking about moving up to a little bit bigger vehicle, so I started cleaning up the garage and moving into what I want to do for fun as well as expanding into the next season. I used to do some wood projects, and I did some handyman stuff for a couple years, but it got to the point where I was getting tools and no place to put them, so they just kind of got shoved into the garage. And so I'm cleaning the garage, and as I'm doing so, I'm also doing some small projects to help make my tools more accessible. This little thingy here, when the chop saw was sitting here, I had some 2x12 planks under it that I use as scaffolding, so it was sitting up and wasn't easy to move. And the knob at the top of the saw table was stuck out about this far. So I put this here as a guide for us, so that the mirror would come in and just barely touch this, and we would go forward. So I'm going to have the camera follow me in. So you can see the clutter I'm dealing with. I've got a couple of large tool cases, and then my power tools are inside of them, and I have other tool cases just sitting around. Here's the chop saw now on a little stand. When I bought that stand, it had these casters on it. As you can see, this one's a fixed caster. It doesn't spin, so it made it more difficult to get it in and out of tight places. And then the lock on this side was challenged to reach under the cabinet with my toe to get it locked all the time. Lock. So I replaced it with these orange casters, and each one of them has a push down lock, holds it in place. Now, because my garage floor is not totally level, I am considering putting a couple of leveling feet on each end of the cabinet, but it's a whole lot easier to roll it in and out of the workway now, because I don't have to treat it like a wheelbarrow. I can spin it, turn it, slide it back in the way I want. This cabinet has the same kind of casters that the other cabinet had, so that'll be one of my projects too, is replace the casters under this one. I like the casters that have the full range of motion. I had these casters already and I was going to use them, but none of them lock. So I'll probably use those casters on this cabinet. Doesn't have to lock in place. Whereas the saw, I want it to lock in place for safety purposes. This is the kind of lighting I've been working with for a number of years in here. Right now it's 50 degrees outside, so I got the garage door up. But in the winter I usually have the garage door down. And then this winter I found this string of LED lights and added them. So that gives me a little bit better general purpose lighting in the garage, so that now when I'm working in the center of the floor, I have a little bit more lighting. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and back the car out of here. And one of the things I've had to deal with for the last few years is dust. The chop saw, I tried to have it hooked up originally with just a piece of pipe going down into this bucket, and it only collected like 30 to 40% because there was no vacuum there.
And as the port on the saw got clogged, it quit collecting dust. So I had a mess everywhere. So what we've done is taken the 2.5 inch fitting off of here, put it on a short piece of hose, and that way this will connect to there. I saw a couple of YouTubes on building your own cyclone dust collector, so that's what I've done. I'm going to build a cabinet that will be about this wide so that the shop vac will sit on it, and then it'll have a, yeah, I know you fit, I took you off of there. Yeah, there we go. And it'll have a shelf here that the cyclone sits on. So I'm not going to cut my tubes to fit yet, my hoses to fit yet, until I know exactly where they're going. And right now I just have this sitting, this piece of particle board is, or OSB board is on a small furniture dolly. It helps me get the idea, get it around the shop while I'm figuring things out. And Dominic and I did this just a few minutes ago. And this hose, it stretches out really nice and claps back down. Picked that up at Woodworks Supply the other day, and it's a Dust Right Universal Small Port Hose Kit by Rockler Tools. I wanted to get something that I could hook to my sanders and my smaller tools. Do a couple of cuts there, we'll see how much it actually sucks up. I have a little bit on the floor and around the area, but not like we had before. On the bottom of my table saw back there, I'm going to rebuild that frame, make it smaller, and it'll sit at the end of my workbench so I can use the workbench as a out table. I'm going to mount this under the table saw when I build the new frame. It's got a 4-inch opening there, so I had to get a couple adapters. So I have a 4-inch connector and then a reducer from 4-inch down to 2 1/4. And that'll hook up under there. I have a 2 1/4-inch adapter that goes onto the end of that new hose I bought, and that'll slide right in there and give me my connection there. I'm also going to build a small plywood dust sweep that sits on the floor. Again, I have a 4-inch fitting that will go on top of it, and a sleeve, and then a reducing adapter as well. And that way I can just sweep the stuff on the floor to it, and it'll go and it'll be gone. Those projects aren't going to get done today because I have to do a check my materials and see what I need for that. One of the projects I'm working on is cleaning up this workbench. We have a desire to increase to a little bit larger vehicle, so I want to make sure I have room for the doors. So what I want to do is take all this excess wood here, my leftovers, and to the left of the window back there I'm going to build a rack to put these in. Well, that means I got to get to the corner in order to do that, and then I plan on putting make this a drop down workbench so that the legs will have to go on hinges in, and it'll be set out from the wall probably on a 2x8 pair of 2x8s, because I have a scaffold ladder behind it that we built as a project one time when we were doing a siding job. It's a A-frame ladder that made out 2x6s and 2x4s, so I could reach the gable of a single-story building. So let's see. I think that's where I am now. Have a great and blessed day. See you next time.